Good morning. Recording in progress. Oh, there's
Recording
Celeste.
in progress.
Guys,
Zabba-da-doo.
hi
Happy
everyone.
birthday, Kip Inglis.
Oh,
Happy
is it your
birthday,
birthday,
Kip
Kip?
Inglis.
Happy birthday. Wow. All right.
Yeah, I
How
told
is
Kip if
everyone? I'm
I didn't sing happy
scrolling.
birthday, she'd be lucky.
Nice. Oh, Jane's here. Hi, Jane. Wow.
Wow,
Lots of
yeah.
folks.
Rock star
Lots of-
here. Jason Logan, rock star. Diamaniac.
Yeah. Mania is definitely part of what's going on today.
Is anybody
right.
else having crazy, weird luck today?
Yes.
Somebody's got a little
I
pup
see
that's
Toka
barking.
and Tom. Who else do I see?
That's great.
I see lots of my favorite people.
Oh, good.
Oh, good, good. They'll have patience with us then.
These are all our favorite people.
Oh, hey
Fantastic.
Celeste, Malvar Stewart. Nice to see you back
Isn't that
here.
great.
Peter Gorse, is that your dog?
Yeah, he's going mental today.
Yeah, it
Absolutely
sounds
mental.
like he's going mental.
Yeah.
Definitely wants to talk. All right, Amy.
Yes,
How are you
okay.
doing?
Well, that's
Jason,
great.
how you doing?
I'm doing great.
All right, good. Amy,
All right.
count me in.
All right. We first of all, can everybody please mute themselves? For those of you who are brand new to this, we have a theme song. And we're going to share that with you.
Is the dance collective ready?
Yeah, I love
Is the
that there's
choir
people
ready?
never
The chorus
been
is
here.
ready.
Here we
Here they go.
There's so many things to share with you today. All right, just a moment.
All right, I'm muting myself.
Yep. Yep. Okay.
Well, it's the end of the week. Now where you been? Well, now it's Feedback Friday, so come on in. Come sit down and stare at your screen. We got a presenter that you never seen. We're Feedback Friday, we're on the loose. We'll be the train, you be the caboose. It's Feedback Friday with Kathy and Amy. Mashed potatoes and the gravy. It's Feedback Friday all day long. Feedback, feedback, Feedback Friday.
Beautiful, beautiful rendition, everyone. Hello.
Did you see the
good
look
morning.
of horror on Jason's face?
Oh, Jason, just act natural, okay? This is how it
I'm trying.
This is just how it
He's like,
goes.
what's happening?
I love the word gravy.
Yeah, gravy's good. It's almost like what's that dish? It's like potatoes with gravy and
Shepherd's
cheese.
pie?
No, you can only buy it in Canada. Poutine?
Jason?
Poutine.
It's poutine, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yes.
Yeah, that's cheese curds and fries and gravy.
Cheese curds. Got it. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Feedback Friday, cheese curds, fries, and gravy. And I'm Kathy Hattori, and I'm just really pleased to welcome you today to episode 84 of Feedback Friday. We've been doing this 84 times, and we're finally getting better, I think, maybe. So joining me, just like, if you could see my script today, it is just chewed up by the printer. So I'm just sort of reading partial words. Joining me today is Amy Dufault, who's our Director of Sustainability and Communications. And she's awaiting a huge cyclone bomb to hit the Northeast. And me, I'm in Seattle. We have sun today and the mountains out. So it's a good day. This week on Feedback Friday, we are really pleased to welcome Jason Logan from Toronto Ink Company. And before we start, and I intro Jason formally, I just want to say thank you to everybody for joining us You have kept us going all of these weeks, months, days. Now we're even talking years of this special pandemic situation that we've been in. And we couldn't do it without your incredible support. So we look forward to these Friday journeys as much as you do, and really appreciate you being here and helping us keep it going. Amy's going to be our moderator on this call, and she will open up the chat at the end of Jason's presentation for Q&A and conversation. As well, at the end of the show, we will ask you to unmute so we can say hello and goodbye and just check in with each other. So that's kind of where that's all going to be. Oh, we're going to record this call, I believe. Yes, it's still recording. That's my one job. So yes, we're going to record it, and that'll be available to you after the weekend, assuming Amy has power. But if not, it'll be available early next week. And let's see, that's it. So Jason is going to be talking to us about Toronto Ink Company and its mission and possibilities and how they've changed over time. He's going to focus on the definition of ink and how that definition relates to the larger world of natural color and finding color in unlikely places. He'll also be talking about working in and with and as part of nature as an urban color forager. I'm just going to quote directly from what Jason wrote to us. He says, most importantly, this hour aims to embrace the opportunity to get a bunch of color radicals in the same room to talk through the big ideas and hands-on specifics of living colors. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be just mind-boggling, the things that he has to show us. And can't wait to see it. Jason, welcome to Feedback Friday. And I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Kathy, and hello, everybody. Welcome to the kitchen laboratory of the Toronto Ink Company. In listening to your introduction, Kathy, I realized that Amy and I have been talking a little bit more about what I would do today, and I definitely want to talk about nature, and I definitely want to have a feeling of all the color radicals in one room. But I think I want to kind of almost jump right into what I'm thinking about right now, rather than giving people a full history lesson on the Toronto Ink Company and how I got here and what my mission is and all of that. Because
Perfect.
I think that
yeah, no worries, Jason. It's this is your time. You do with it.
Yeah.
I'm
just saying
you.
all that to just give people a little bit of a feeling for the hour and to talk myself through it, because I think that there's just so much I could say about ink and dye and putting color into bottles and all of that. And but I think that what's particular about today is that we've kind of got a group of people who are kind of already sold on the notion of living color and making ink from anything and making color from anything. So I thought it would be fun to just kind of dive right into things that I'm thinking about right now and what I've been sort of up to in the last year or so. And I thought we could, and also I've got a few videos that I really wanted to show because they kind of give you a sense of my world and my thinking, and hopefully give you a little bit of a taste of how I kind of see, getting inside my brain in terms of how I see materials. So I thought maybe we could start with this one video because it was such an interesting, curious project that I did. It was an old friend of mine, Craig Taylor, had an interview with this kind of amazing survivor of a terrible gun shootout in a mall, and her daughter was killed and she was shot, and there were a few other bystanders shot, and she has become an advocate for getting guns out of the hands of so many Americans, you know, and she sort of did this amazing, intense interview. And my friend Craig, who runs this magazine, said, could you make some little drawings to kind of go along with her story? And it was such an intense story. And I hadn't done illustration for a while. My roots are in illustration, but I just wasn't sure how to tell. She really told her story in words, and it was so intense, and I just wasn't sure what to do with it ink-wise. And so I started thinking, and I thought, like, maybe there's a way to look at the actual bullets involved in this and kind of sort of almost like deconstruct a bullet and turn it into ink and kind of have the story tell itself through the material somehow. So I thought this video kind of sums up what I'm maybe less articulately saying in person, but it's really cool.
Okay, cool.
Make sure I'm not muted for this, and let's hope we don't see rectangles on it.
So the art that I've made for this project, it's got the nice sparkly blackish gray from the charcoal. It's got the bright yellow from sulfur. And then it's got amazing crystalline structures that are made from the third ingredient of gunpowder, which is potassium nitrate. I guess what I found so fascinating was that this intense, powerful substance called gunpowder is made up of 3 totally natural ingredients, and each one of those ingredients has their own special, beautiful forms that are completely non-violent and peaceful. But together they create this potentially lethal, powerful substance. So this is a shotgun shell. Inside the shotgun shell is this stuff, which is a nitroglycerin-based gunpowder, as well as these little pellets, buckshot. This nitroglycerin version of gunpowder is impossible to do anything with. I tried everything, and it's just insoluble. It does nothing in water. It sort of floats around. It's kind of got a plastic in there. It got a little bit interesting when I put it in a solution of silver nitrate. It sort of started to form some little silver crystals around the copper, which was interesting, but still not a lot of color. The next thing I did was I took apart gunpowder into its traditional 3 ingredients, and the most important ingredient is this stuff here, which is just a charcoal dust. These little twigs here of buckthorn. This makes something called Swiss black powder. This actually makes a beautiful, like, drawing charcoal. Nice smooth drawing charcoal. So there's a couple of things in this video that I wanted to talk about. Like, one was just the notion of starting with an idea as a prompt and trying to find a way to express that idea through, like, sort of research and concentration of ingredients. And, you know, as a result, I found out that, you know, I'd often worked with carbon. I love kind of soot-based ink. It's one of the, like, first and earliest forms of black ink. But what I didn't know was that the soot that's used, the sort of black carbon dust that's used in gunpowder, works a lot better if it's a certain kind of carbonized wood. Like, depending on the wood, the way that electricity passes through it and how quickly electricity passes through the carbon atoms depends on the type of wood you're using. So I kind of went down this amazing rabbit hole to really understand what kind of wood I could carbonize to get a black that would be the kind of black that would have been traditionally used in gunpowder. And, you know, and I also ended up going out to the suburbs to find a sausage maker that had these special salts. And I you know, went to a fireworks place, and I did sort of all this crazy adventuring in order to kind of get closer to this material and sort of understand how it could be a tool for communication. So I just wanted to talk a tiny bit about that sort of revelation for me, which was 2 things. One was just the idea that you could make ink out of an idea. I got really excited by that. And then secondly was just this notion that even as something as sort of, you know, human made and chemistry based and sort of, you know, I can't think of anything more toxic than gunpowder in a way, but that it really involves 3 different materials, and each material is itself a naturally occurring material. And it sort of got me thinking about how, you know, I started out as an ink maker, like, I don't know, probably many of the natural dye makers here, like just noting that there are certain, you know, plants or berries or nuts or, you know, things that you can find in any city, things that fall off trees that have traditionally been used to make color. And it's this sort of amazing, it's just a really amazing process to be kind of out in nature and have say a black walnut fall and realize that there's a lot of deep, rich color in the hull of the black walnut. And and that you can sort of boil it up and get this amazing non-toxic, what you might call a dye bath, or you might call ink, depending on kind of how long you boil it down for. That sort of being in nature, working with nature, like connecting with nature, kind of becoming aware of the plants and weeds and things growing out of the ground, even in the most like sort of busy city, that was sort of my first revelation. And then as I started to play, and that video is a good example of this, I realized that, as you start to fiddle with color, as all the dye makers among us here will note that, it just starts to get more intense or more permanent or more interesting when you, for instance, add iron. For instance, when you add a metal to something as a kind of mordant, it starts to get interesting. And for me, I was like, well, there's always like nuts and bolts lying on the road. Like there's always, there's bits of copper wire. Like there are metals that you can find that kind of do some interesting things when they get together with plants. So I got excited just basically by throwing, a rusty nail into what I've been making, into the stuff that I was playing with in terms of plants. And in the process of bringing together metals and plants, and in the process of taking an idea and trying to make it into ink, I was sort of awakened to this notion that there are just a certain number of like atoms like cycling around the world, and we're part of that, and the rocks are part of that, and the trees are part of that, and even the most sort of like toxic, crazy human produced chemical has it's made from those initial building blocks. So this project, I just wanted to show you that video because I like that video, but also I wanted to show you it because it sort of, to me, it reminds me of that sort of waking up to my own interests and just kind of getting to the very bottom of things, like, thinking about what things are made out of, thinking of where those things that they're made out of come from, really looking at each individual substance in these sort of in the complex world that we live in. It just becomes so interesting when you kind of ask the question, well, what is that made up of? And then not stopping there, but just sort of saying, okay, well then what is that made up of? And then what is that made up of? It just becomes, it's such a great question to ask yourself, and to think about how that question, what is that made of, kind of opens you up to what's going on right at your feet. And I think that when I started, I said I wasn't going to talk about the origins of the Toronto Ink Company, but when I started, it was like, I want to make natural, non-toxic ink from things I find around me, using various traditional sort of plant-based recipes. And as I moved along and got deeper into it, I began to realize that what I really want to do is make meaning-based ink. And that what I'm really fascinated by is, how do you connect meaning to materials? Or how do you open up your mind to this sort of way that meaning and materials come together? So that's kind of what that video was about for me. But the other little piece in that video that's kind of interesting is that I knew I wanted to tell the story of how I had made that ink, because it felt like it wasn't kind of enough to go through all those adventures on my own and just sort of send the illustrations off to, it became this kind of interactive project with WeTransfer. And I just sort of felt like people are missing how much is in this ink, So I wanted to make a little movie about it. And I talked to my friend Brian, and he and this guy Nick that he'd worked with were happy to spend an afternoon in my studio and kind of record some of that stuff, and that's what came out of that. But that same team of director and cinematographer started to become interested in telling a bigger story of ink, which became kind of what I've been immersed in for the last like 2 years, which is I've been making this film with the NFB called The Color of Ink. And the NFB is the National Film Board of Canada, which is kind of this amazing, illustrious, like government funded organization that has just been making amazing and particularly documentary based films, for, I don't know, a century now, I guess. So I was super excited that they agreed to make this film. I was super excited to be working with Brian Johnson and Nick DePonsier, who are two amazing, just filmmaking journalistic geniuses. Nick DePonsier did all the cinematography for Anthropocene. I don't know if any of you have seen that movie, but great, just a beautiful, beautiful filmmaker. And I thought maybe we could quickly see the trailer that we kind of put together to pitch it to people. And we were excited to get Margaret Atwood agreed to be in it because she likes my ink, because she loves doodling. And we had a few other sort of names of people. And then we put together this trailer as a way to kind of pitch the idea. Um, so we took this trailer, we went to Cannes and announced the movie was coming out. We got a big grant from the Canadian government and a lot of support from some great people in Canada. We went down to California and did a kind of little test clip of the movie just to kind of get a feeling for what it could look like and make sure all the investors were happy. And we kind of got the green light and had an amazing trip down to Mexico where we worked with this traditional indigenous dyer who works with the snail shell, the purpula, which is like this purple kind of, it's like a whole story in and of itself. But, we also worked with, people who work with cactus dye, and we worked with people who work with indigo, and we met, it was just been a total adventure from like day one, like just like so mind expanding and so kind of like humbling just in its, as I've started to meet other color experts, I just feel like a kid who's just discovered something that for other people have been like generation upon generation of like fine gradations of understanding how to use local plants and insects and color. Like it's just been an amazing education for me to be part of this film. And then also just some sort of crazy weird adventures like that. You saw the one with the guy with the huge brush that sort of looks like a mop, and that's Koji, who we he's in Japan. He's kind of the guy who does giant calligraphy that's like the size of a wall, and he asked me to make a special ink for him. I went to Bancroft, which is kind of in Ontario, but sort of up north, and way back in the woods, we found this. We worked with a geologist and found a mine, and got all this magnetite and turned it into dust, and we kind of created this like magnetic ink, which I then shipped off in a huge container, like for hundreds and hundreds of dollars to Koji, who then worked with his ink maker to make it into a kind of more traditional sumi ink. Like it was just this like, I don't know, get a crazy idea into your head and then it just starts rolling. So it's just been a total, like the combination of an adventure and an education for the last couple of years. And then we did all this stuff, and we did quite a bit of traveling and some real adventuring, and kind of got like, I don't know, maybe 2/3 of the way through the movie. And then the pandemic hit. And all of a sudden, I mean, we were supposed to go to Japan. We really felt like Japan and China was like essential to a movie about ink. And, we had our time booked and we were ready to go. And then, and Koji, in fact, was going to be in the Olympics, like one of the torch bearers in the Olympics. So we were like, we'll get a shot of him like lighting the fire, and then we'll have fire and black, and it'll be the huge like calligraphy, and it's going to be so exciting. I've never been to Japan before. And then everything was just shut down. The Olympics were shut down, travel was shut down, and we started making a different kind of film. And the different kind of film was like, I make ink, I send it in the mail, and it sort of has another life, like almost like a message in a bottle, where I'm sort of sending out materials and ink, and there's a kind of exchange back and forth. My friend Marta Abbott, who I love, who works in Rome, we've done a lot of collaborating together, went to the Carrara marble factory and used the dust from that, that marble that was used for like Michelangelo's David, et cetera, et cetera. She sent me the dust, which I then made into a white ink and sent back to this amazing Islamic calligrapher in London. Like, it's just sort of like, it became a movie about how to sort of stay in place while connecting to a wider world. And it was sort of thrilling and amazing, and kind of seemed almost right to not be able to be on a plane, like it kind of felt like everything I've ever done has been about paying attention to what's at my feet, and having a whole sort of network of people that are also really interested in what's right at their feet was a way of being both like utterly local and at the same time utterly worldly and connected to the whole world. So I still haven't seen any of the movie, like, because I'm kind of like the guide and sort of not exactly the subject, but like the guy who's like, come this way, like, let's look at this kind of guy. We kind of wanted to create a separation between, subject and filmmaker. So I haven't, we've kind of got all the footage. It's being made into a film. We were about to submit it to Sundance, and then Sundance was canceled. So it's sort of like, it's still, somehow it's still alive and still unexpected. And that, that feeling of aliveness and unexpectedness and bringing together materials with ideas and spirit, it sort of is what we've been doing with this film. And I thought maybe we could just quickly watch this little clip that we made kind of in the desert, that it kind of gives you a taste for the world of this film.
Some kind of mineral. Salt. Tastes like salt. Tastes good, actually. Salt sort of brightens the color and helps it dig into the cotton of the paper. Yeah, it's a nice piece. beautiful soft white chalk. That's just nature's art supply there. Look at that. It's like pure calcium. Yeah, it's the essence of flowers in the sunset.
So that's oh, I've got an echo there for some reason. I think I kind of want to, like, just because we've now just got like 15 minutes left, I think we should just dive into some questions. I hope that gave people sort of a little bit of a sense of where my brain's been in the last couple of years, which is my main goal, to just sort of transfer some of my excitement about the idea of a kind of color revolution that I feel like maybe everyone here is a part of. We've got like almost 400 people. It's quite extraordinary. I love it. should we dive into a couple of questions, do you think, Amy?
Sure. Yeah. Oh, actually, you know what? I have been running the video and stuff. I haven't opened the chat up. Sorry, guys. Let me do that. Let's see. Okay, so the chat should be open if you want to, I'm sure, throw questions and I'll kick it off. What was that tool that you just used that but you can load the yellow in? Oh my God, that was incredible.
Oh yeah, I've got a couple of these marker blanks, and that one's kind of like a graffiti marker, like a nice
Oh my
thick
God.
marker, and it's basically it's got like a marker end on it, and you can kind of unscrew and kind of put whatever you want. You need an alcohol-based color, but I've got something on my Instagram right now, Toronto Ink Company Instagram, that shows another version of that I did with copper, where it's a kind of self-coloring marker. It just keeps, you just kind of keep adding vinegar to it and it will just keep like producing nice like blue like copper oxide.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I'm super into the use of like marker blanks.
Yeah, that was, I love that. I mean, you should probably start your own tool, like a bunch of your own tools, Toronto Ink Company tools, and everybody here would buy tons of them. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've got so many sort of merchandising ideas, but I've been like the last couple of years, I'm barely able to produce, like I've got a couple stores that sell my ink, but my supplies of everything are so low because I've just been, all of my sort of energies and excitement have been gone into making this film basically. But yeah,
And a great place to put your energy. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Yeah. And for sure, we can see, like, I mean, you're such a true artist too, which is what I got out of all those films, all the little films. Okay, I'm just going to jump in. So Heather is asking, would love to hear more about the snail, maybe the ink from the snail.
Oh yeah, I mean, how much time do you have?
I know. Maybe like where was it that you came across, that you got access to that snail?
It's on the coastline of like the Oaxaca province, and it's kind of actually a protected coastline, and there really are only like 2 or 3 dyers that are allowed to use this method. But it's very similar to the Murex snail, which was kind of the like Roman toga purple for, I don't know, like a 500 years or something, and basically they kind of like devastated that population of sea snails. And meanwhile, in Mexico, there was a very similar sea snail that was being, rather than like crushed up to make this intense, beautiful purple, it was being milked. So we got to watch this dyer, so we're on this protected bit of coastline, and I'm like running around with this dyer who's like I don't know, 60 years old, and I'm like trying to keep up with him because he's like zipping around on the rocks. There's these huge waves coming in. We actually trashed a I don't know, $200,000 camera in the process. There's this method of getting this amazing purple color where you sort of actually just kind of like give the snail like a little pat, and it just sort of puts the color onto the like skein of your wool. It's amazing. And it's that sort of spectacular chemistry where the color, when it comes on, is sort of a greenish yellow color, and then the sun is what alchemizes it to this rich purpley blue. And it's just like, it was just one of the most extraordinary experiences of my life. It's really quite something. It's called purpura. Look it up.
I think most people, or if not everybody here, would just love to be with you at all times on these journeys. Anyways, I won't talk. I'll just jump in. Keep going with the question. Sorry. Jane is asking, what is calcium used for?
Well, I just mentioned calcium because it's kind of the main ingredient in like bones and shells, as well as marble, which is made from bones and shells. So it kind of has this glistening white like sparkle to it. And I like to play around with it as a kind of white ink. And that piece of chalk that I found in the desert was just like really calcium rich. So you kind of get this nice like sparkly white, which when like mixed up right, kind of gives you this nice white. You can make a white ink out of it basically.
Okay. Have you used fabric at all using your dye inks in addition to the paper?
Yeah, I mean, just a couple small forays into that world. I would say all of my inks can work on fabric. It's just fabric is so focused on the like, is it gonna fade? What happens when I wash it? Like there's just such for ink, I feel like one of its sort of selling points is that it fades and changes color and is kind of like a little bit bonkers. But I find sometimes in the textile, I mean, some people in the textile world embrace this notion of sort of living color, but I haven't. Yeah, it's not something. It's something I've done a tiny bit of. I've done a collaboration here or there with people, but not a huge amount. We're actually we're scheming up something.
Well, yeah, we are. You all better hold on to your hats. Okay. So Suzanne's asking, what do you put the flowers in? Alcohol? That was so weird how I just read that question. What do you put the flowers in? Alcohol?
Yeah, comma, alcohol. Question mark. Yeah, that kind of goes to the heart of something that's interesting to me, because I used to always say, I do a lot of workshops, and I used to always say, like, flowers are kind of already doing their best manifestation of color. Like, don't try to make ink out of flowers, because they're already kind of like, the paper is the petals, and they are kind of ink makers, and you should just like, delight in the beauty of flowers in and of themselves, which I still stand by. But in the meantime, and also I find flowers really hard. Like if you boil up really bright flowers, you don't get that much out of them, but I did discover in the last few years the delights, and particularly with yellow flowers, alcohol can bring out the color in a way that's like quite vibrant. Like in the case of that rabbit bush flower, it is almost like highlighter ink. It's quite great. Also, alum is pretty good for yellow flowers. I find if you're gonna boil something up, I'd say boil it up with alum, and for me, like the yellow flowers are the ones that I get the most sort of intensity out of. Although black hollyhocks are also great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are great too. All right, do you use preservatives in any of the inks?
Yeah, my main thing on, I mean, one thing I love is just putting a little bit of wintergreen oil in there, or a clove, like a whole clove at the bottom of the ink. Both of those act as kind of like a natural preservative. Also, gum arabic is kind of a natural preservative. But my number one, and also sometimes I just put my inks in the fridge, like as if they're food, going back to the gravy thing. Sometimes I feel like a gravy maker, like I'm just trying to intensify things until they're delicious. But my number one, hack for preserving natural color is, it kind of comes from the jamming world, which is just like boil, sterilize the glass, and then like put the lid on really, really tight. And I find that if you put it in a glass container, sterilize the glass container first. I often do it just in a really hot dishwasher, but you can just like also pour boiling water over it. Sterilize it with boiling water, put it immediately in the glass bottle, put the lid on really tight, and that color will last for a long time.
Yeah, I've got some inks, thanks to you and your book, Make Ink. I've got inks in the fridge that are just totally fermenting and doing weird stuff. But somebody sent a message today saying that because of your book, they had made inks out of everything except their cat. I was like, oh my God, what? So I'm going to ask you one more question, because I can't get to the 61 that are behind this one, and we're getting close to the end. But lots of people, of course, are thanking you. That's like just the poetry of this and in the videos. Like when you watch the video after, you can see on the chat on the side how much people enjoyed this. But a lot of people have asked when the film is going to be released. Do you know?
I mean, I can send you, I'll put a link for you all to Sphinx Productions, who are the people that are doing it. And the minute it comes out, you'll know. I also have a like a Substack, which is like newsletter, which if anything exciting happens,
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys will be the first to know.
Best newsletter ever.
But I don't know. It was definitely scheduled to release like early this year, and it's now looking like it might be later this year. It could premiere at Bennett. I would like the pandemic to be over and that it premieres at Venice and I get to go to Venice. That's my dream. But I just don't know. It's like we do not, as you can see, even just from looking on your computer screen, like it would be a terrible tragedy for that beautiful, strange film to end up just being a streaming thing. Like it just feels like it needs to be on a huge screen. So I think we're going to wait until that is possible.
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea. And then when you get to the film festival, people will come up to you and they'll have their pockets just jam-packed full of little glass jars like, hey, Jason, I want to give you this little thing I found on this back road. And it was my grandfather's and from 1924.
From a graphite mine in
A
Madagascar.
graphite mine
I
in
hope so.
Three Forks, South Dakota.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
so fantastic.
Kathy, I know I just saw you said that you have an example of the purple.
Oh yeah.
The
So I
snail
have
that
a
Jason was
friend
talking-
who has lived in Central America for probably over 40 years. And the color comes, is protected, as Jason was saying. And I believe it's the Mixtec people that are the only ones that are allowed to actually do the milking and harvesting. But this is the color that it creates. This is on a cotton fabric. The chemical process is similar to indigo in that it needs oxygen and light in order to bloom when it comes out. I actually went to a conference in Japan on this color many years ago, but this is what the snail looks like. I don't know if you can see it, the snail shell. Little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and see, here it is with purple on it. Can you see the purple on the edge? It's all
So
Yeah,
magic. What a lucky thing to have. That's really
super cool, isn't it neat?
Yeah.
He brought it out. He was visiting, and he brought it out and he said, "Do you know what this is?" And I almost fainted, just like right there, passed out because it was like, "Oh my God, this is so precious." Anyway, that's what this is. There's also a book that Amy, I'll give you the reference to if you're a Spanish speaker or reader. There's a book available about the color. And where are we? Am I ready to?
I'm putting right now in the chat I'm just put the RSVP for today back into the chat, and it's got the newsletter and
Yes.
all kinds of links. The video will have the same, but if you wanted, people are asking about the book.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you can buy the book.
And I just have to say, just a pitch for the newsletter. We just keep calling it a newsletter. This is a gift. It's a gift every single time you get it. It's beautiful. It's evocative. It makes you want to, no matter what the weather is, to go outside and pick up something that you can make a color out of. It's really great. So that's Jason's newsletter that you all should be looking at.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I mean,
Right.
I should say too, just very quickly too, that like we keep mentioning the book, but just for, given that we've got like 400 people online, it's like.
This is the book.
Jason.
Jason Logan's book. We sell it at botanicalcolors.com. It's wonderful. It's got inspiration, how to, and just, it's enough for you to launch your own rocket. So for sure, do it. Buy it.
And buy it through Botanical Colors, like it's like if you're ever gonna, not do the like send the white guy to the moon company, this is the kind of book to do that with. Like I think you should buy it at botanicalcolors.com.
Yeah.
I think you are so
That guy's our
smart.
neighbor
I
too
really-
here.
I think he's like the smartest guy we've ever had on Feedback Friday.
All right. Are we ready
Good
to just kind of roll it? We're a little bit
yeah.
over. Okay. So really quickly for Porfirio's workshop, medicinal color in Ventura, California in real life. That's going to be in April, and we have a couple spots available. So if you've been thinking about it, don't hesitate. We have installment plan payments as well as a couple of scholarship positions that we'll be awarding probably next week. So get your scholarship application in if you're interested in that. If you're still not ready for in real life, Judy Petit has an ink making workshop. Yeah, she's lovely, enthusiastic. She'll guide you through the basics so that you again can just launch yourself into yet another amazing thing to be doing. And let's see. Oh, we started working with chlorophyll in the last couple of weeks. So chlorophyll dye is available on the site if you're interested. And then we're getting a larger shipment of it in a few weeks, but we have plenty right now. And for next week on Feedback Friday, we're going to have textile designer and the founder of Haribaru in Paris, Hodeliva Curlin. And she is going to be showing us this amazing, beautiful, she does zabuton, which are the Japanese little cushions that, you sit on the floor. A lot of people use them for meditation. And she's taken that as her form and created beautiful renditions of it using natural dyes and these amazing wild silks that she's getting from different silk purveyors all over the world, including different types of indigenous silks that are coming from those huge, oh God, what's that moth called? Atticus something. It's this enormous, big, beautiful moth that also has a type of silk that isn't used commercially very often, but it is a really interesting fiber for textile people. And so we're going to listen to what Hodeliva says about what's going on in the Zabuton wild silk natural dye world, and that'll be next week. All right, with that, I just want to thank you, Jason. That was, wow, such a beautiful journey. Really, really needed that. Really appreciate it. And now we just can't wait to think about like all these cool things we could be doing.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and unmute and say hello and goodbye and check out everybody on the site here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thanks guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Next
so
time
much.
we'll see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. So many people.
I
I
know.
love all the thank yous. It feels great.
Hi, Madeline.
I had just gotten your book last week. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Lucky
It's
you.
a great read. Oh, there's Tuka. Hi.
Where's
Yeah.
Tuka?
I have you.
Oh, I like that. Like Virginia's got
Oh
her.
yeah, there it
that I'm
is.
making. Oh,
Amy,
Hoffman.
Suzanne.
Suzanne.
Wow.
Jason, stay warm.
Thanks.
Thank you. It's
Hi,
cold here.
everyone.
Thanks for the
I know.
Stay
Thank you.
warm, everyone.
Bye.
beautiful.
Bye, Betsy.
Beautiful.
Bye. Stay well,
Bye.
everyone.
All right. Stay warm, everyone.
All
Take
right.
care. I thought I just saw Miss Cecile.
I did see. I saw that.
There
yeah.
she is. Hi.
Oh my God, and Diane Becker's here too.
Hello, Diane
Yay,
Becker.
back from surgery. Yeah.
Mm.
Thank
Oh,
you again.
Oh, it's so
Hi, you're
amazing to
so
look through.
welcome.
Thank you to everyone for coming too. It's so I feel like if I had been looking at all the little names, I would have felt more like self-conscious.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. You don't really know,
Mhm.
who's out there
You come in.
till the
There's
very
some
end.
like giants in the color world here.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. I
fantastic.
think this is one of the most attended from past Feedback Friday presenters too. There's a lot of Feedback Friday presenters who are
Yeah,
on this. Yeah,
yeah, we're grateful to all of them.
which is great. I think that somebody's just trying to join.
Hi,
on.
LED.
Hello.
Oh.
Almost missed you.
Oh,
Yeah, you
who's
came
that?
in late. I saw that.
I was having a battle with the ratchet strap to tie my grill down.
Great.
Thanks to
Thanks,
you
Mom.
two,
Right.
I found it.
All right, because of the blizzard coming,
Great.
right?
Kathy, we're still recording, just so you.
Oh, we are. Oh, let's stop the recording.
We're off the record now.
Yeah.
Yeah, OTR.
Almost,
Oh.
yeah.